When people say things like, I saw a comment and somebody said, why would Angie have you help her? So I want to say to that person this. The thing about that statement is, why wouldn't she? And I'll say this again too. I deal with, all my life, I built up this dynamic of making sure that I put myself in the right positions with the right people. I never wanted to be the kind of artist where I would be chasing, per se, a dream, but I wanted to be more on the executive side and the producing and writing side and the business side, because I knew if I'm on the business side, I would stay in the business. Do you understand what I'm saying? I knew if I am in control of my business, I will always be in this business. So I didn't focus so much on my artist side. Even though I'm an artist, I focus more on the business side. Now, what's my point in saying what I just said? My point is, for those of you that say, and that might think, because there might be people that actually think, man, why would she go to this guy? What would be her point in going to this guy? We're gonna get into a few things because I wanna talk about the things about the accident. I just wanna slowly bring you into that because I have some things that you guys are gonna find very interesting concerning that whole accident situation. But I wanted to get back to this management thing because people keep asking me a million questions about it. So I had to go deeper into that. But once again, before I got started, I want to address just that statement because there might be a lot of people thinking the same thing that person's thinking. So I'm gonna say this. What is the most important thing besides money in life? When you're trying to be somebody in the world, what is the most important thing besides money? And I'll give you a second to think about that. I'm only gonna give you a second to think about that because it's not a hard question that I'm asking you. What is the most important thing in life besides money? In any sector of business or that you're trying to build or you're trying to have a career, what is the most important thing? And if you haven't figured that out, I'm just gonna tell you. So the most important thing in life besides money is relationships. Relationships. Because relationships have their value equivalent to money. Because with a relationship, you can make millions of dollars. With no relationships, you can actually be broke. And if you look at the fundamental elements of life, when it comes to success, what every person has in common with a successful career or life, it's going to be relationships. So those of you that might think in your mind, and it's very few, because everybody's been very, very loving and caring to the passing of Angie, and they've been leaving very respectful comments on my videos for the family and to me. So for the most, everybody's been very respectful, but you're gonna get that small percentage of people who say some of the craziest stuff. So I'll say to you, what is the dynamic of your relationship? And what has your relationship yielded you in success? So that way you don't need to ask me that question again. Because I have built some of the most powerful relationships in the music industry. Thus is the reason Angie Stone reached out to me. Now, before I really get into what I'm about to get into, I want to mention a few things on how I met Angie. Let me take that back. Wait a minute. Not necessarily how I met Angie, but how this came about. There's 3 people in my life that were connected to Angie, to Stoney, okay? 3 people in my life. And these 3 people were writers with her on the records. You know, one of my friends goes back to like Angie's first record. Tons of people I know were connected to her that I deal with personally. Number 1 was Sharon. She wrote on Angie's earlier record. She was a writer on the record. Close relationship with Angie. Her and Angie were dope writers together on different projects and albums and just all kinds of different stuff. Sharon is still in the entertainment business. You know, she kind of walked away because she just didn't like how the industry was. You know, you can always go over. She has a podcast called Street Talk, and she'll I'll let her explain that to you, why she walked away from the music industry, and it seems like she made a great decision, right? And Juanita Wynn, who actually, Angie called her and was asking about a Vegas residency. And Juanita tours with Angie and writes with Angie on a lot of her hit records as well. And she told Angie, well, my buddy Stone has connections. He can make it happen for the residency. So initially, this thing was about a residency. And Rufus Black, which is my writing partner, him and I have written for Mila J on her record, one of her records together, as well as other artists him and I has written for, but he's written for Beyonce and Angie as well. You know what I mean? So the introduction of Angie, I was dealing with Angie already. She had been hearing my name from Sharon and Rufus. And then Juanita mentioned me again. And so here goes the journey with us moving forward with her publishing. Well, wrong, the residency initially. And then that's when Angie mentioned to me she had an issue with her money and she was owed a lot of money. And even that whole situation with the residency was a whole dynamic with that. But I'm gonna go into how all this happened. Now, there might be, and this is for the people that know Angie, because there might be people knowing Angie for 50 years. Hell, there's people that know me for 35, 40 years, right? There's people that have only known me 2 weeks, but it doesn't necessarily make a situation with somebody 30 years better than the situation with somebody I've known for 2 weeks. It's all about how that person interacts with me. You understand what I'm saying? And so for those people, because there's been a lot of talk in the circle, which is why I'm bringing this conversation up. There's a lot of mess going on right now. A lot of mess going on. And so you'll have people that have been with Angie for these many years feel like because maybe I wasn't with Angie for 30 years, that means something. So I'll say to those people, any of you guys watching this that have known Angie for years, one thing about Angie was she would not share her private business with many people. She was very careful and calculated about sharing paperwork, sharing her privacy with how her life is going. She really didn't share the personal paperwork with people. You understand what I'm saying? She didn't share that. Stoney did not share that with people, right? So those people it's hilarious because I got a call about something that I had to address. And I said, well, who cares? Did Angie call on them to help? And, you know, it's funny. People can say whatever they want to say. Angie didn't call these people to help them. You understand what I'm saying? Angie didn't put and trust that in people's hands to go and correct it. So when Angie talked to me and asked me and said, I need your help, okay? I said, absolutely, Stoney, what we need to do. And she explained it to me. I said, first thoughts were, let me get my big brother on board, right? I got my big brother, Basal Benford, and I'm gonna post a picture. I want you guys to understand, for the fans, this conversation is for the fans, and I'm sorry that I gotta backtrack, forgive me. I know you probably wanted me to go forward, but I am backtracking because there's another story within this story. So I said, you know what? How can I make this effective for Angie? How can I put together my own version of a dream team for Angie, right? I called up my big brother, Basal Benford. Man, I want you to go look Basal up, and I'm gonna post the picture, okay? This is who Angie's manager currently is right now, and I want you guys to understand that, right? I want you to understand that this is her current manager. It doesn't matter what nobody says, because we've been hearing a lot of weird stuff, and I want you to understand the dark energies are working in this situation, and you got sleeper cells within the midst of the circle. You have people within the midst of the circle that are being very negative about our contributions to helping our legend, you guys. You have people in the middle of the circle, inside the circle, that are saying negative stuff about our contributions to helping Angie get. And I'm sharing this with you so that nobody else can share this with you, because I got a call this morning, right? Now, I'm not speaking to certain people now. Like, I stopped answering my phone. because I feel like certain people are bringing certain negativity that I don't want to see or hear. So I had to call my brother and tell my brother about it. But before I could call him, he was calling me. Him and I was calling each other. He called me and he said, Vasal said, I had a dream and Angie came to me. And she said to me, and I'm telling this to you fans, because everybody's been asking me, Stone, are you guys gonna keep up the fight? Are you gonna fight for Angie and finish out what you guys started? Absolutely. We don't plan to stop. Angie signed an agreement with us and we plan to honor Angie Stone. We don't care about what nobody else is talking. My big brother Vasal does not care about that. So he calls me and he tells me about the dream. And he says Angie came to him and she was talking to him, and he said he's been having these dreams back to back. Now, I didn't share with him, I've been having dreams also. So I said, big brother, I said, that's crazy you saying that to me, because I've also been having these dreams. And I told him about my dreams, and he said, yeah, I've been having these dreams. Which was confirmation to everything that the fans, you guys have been saying about Angie. Are we still gonna move forward? Please, Stone, can you guys please continue to help? Absolutely. We're not walking away from this. We're not walking away from the family at all. We plan to move forward and continue based on Angie signing that agreement. Angie is managed by Vasal Benford, the TBC group. Once again, the picture I just showed you a minute ago, that's Vasal. I'll show it again so you'll know who he is. So you won't have to guess and think who he is. When Angie called me, I called Vasal. I told him that Angie was on dialysis and she was dealing with health issues. He immediately said yes. He said, little brother, listen, I got it. Tell Angie I'm on board. Call her, get her on three-way. I called her, got her on three-way, and we went in motion. Vasal put up his own money, initial $40,000, just to go search and find out what was going on with the songs, right? Just to find out what was going on with the songs and where they were. Now, you got to understand that what was going to happen was, hold on, give me a second, you guys. I created some notes because I wanted to share some things with you that I hadn't shared. So I have all kinds of paperwork down here in front of me, and he put up his own money, you guys, just so please understand that. And Vasal told Angie, he said, Angie, I want to help you because my brother passed away from kidney failure. And it's not about the money for me. So you guys got to understand, Vasal is well-to-do. He doesn't need nobody's money. His company is worth $300 million, okay? His entertainment company. So he doesn't need the money. He went into helping Angie because he wanted to. The TBC group, Vasal got everything together, stay Stone, get the paperwork, find out what we need, and we went in motion. It was never about a dime from Stoney. It was about the love of her legacy and who she was. And he began to talk to her about how he was going to, as we were doing that, we wanted to initially take care of getting her the money back first, and then we were going to go into the residency. But then he started saying, well, you know what, let's go ahead and start working the residency out while we're working out the money situation. Once again, that phone call I was telling you about when I was talking about said person and all that, well, that was my big brother Vasal. He cornered this guy on the phone. He cornered him on the phone, and the conversation got heated. That was Vasal. I was on the phone as well. And Vasal let him know that Angie said the money was taken. Now, I'm going to shorten it so I don't have to tell that whole story again, okay? By the end of that conversation, you know, Vasal, he tried to raise his voice at Vasal when he said, I don't have to tell y'all shit. I don't have to give you shit. I don't do this phone thing, he said. I don't do this conversation over the phone thing. You guys need to show me paperwork that you represent her. Then we went on into explaining to him how we had already sent him that, okay? Let's fast forward again. You know the details because I said it on the last video. You know, we made a call to Angie. That day when Vasal called me, we had a meeting, we talked, and then the next day, I didn't hear from Basal. Then he called me, I think the day after that. And he says, can you get Angie on the phone? And I said, yeah. And I said, what's wrong? And he explained some things to me. He says, it's not good. And I called Angie, I called Stoney, and I said, Stoney, I got Basal on the phone. She, you know, in her cheerful voice, hey, baby, how you doing, Basal? Hey, so good to hear from you. And this is when he had to tell her, you have nothing. There's nothing there. There's no songs. Now, before he called her, he said to me, Stone, you know, there's nothing there. And you know there's nothing there. We found nothing. Am I missing something? And I said, big brother, we're going to have to talk to her and see what's going on. Because we just could not figure out why there was no publishing. You know, why? And he had to tell her that. Now, I want you to understand that this thing goes very deep. So how were we able to find these things? How are we able to dig so deep into Angie Stone's situation and find stuff out? Cornerstone Management is not the company that was managing Angie. That's a made-up company. Okay, that's a company that Angie made up. But that's not who was taking care of that. It was the Benford Group. So I'm getting back on today to kind of rewind this and explain to you the involvement per the name Basal Benford. So you understand, Basal Benford is Angie Stone's manager. And I'll repeat that again. He is Angie Stone's management. Listen, you know, like I said, once again, I don't do receipts. I don't say receipts. I don't do any of that. But inside of this folder, which I can't show you, are Angie's contracts. It's in here somewhere in the back. I can't show you that for reasons I'm sure you already know why. But Basal is the manager. TBC Group is the company. I work for my brother Basal. I brought Angie to my brother because I knew that he could help. And you got to understand, my brother represents some of the biggest artists in the music industry. Some of them are even bigger than Angie. And that's respectfully said. And I'm only saying that to make you understand, because there's a dynamic that's happening right now where there are people within the circle that are trying to figure out how to stop us from even moving forward. They're actually saying that, okay, shoot, we don't need y'all help. So the funny part is there's one person that's doing that. And this person is actually spewing negative stuff about the company and about us and saying these negative things. And once again, I'm standing in front of this first so that nobody later on can say something that we didn't cover. There's people that's actually trying to say that now this is what we were told, only going off of what we were told, that we, and I'm saying it to you so that you guys can already have the news, that we force, and under duress, we force Angie to sign the contracts. Now, mind you, Angie was in Atlanta and we're on the West Coast. Mind you, Angie seeked me out to help. Mind you, Angie would always call me and tell me, Stoney, what we're doing, what's going on, what's happening. It's one person within, it's a sleeper cell, and you know who you are. And that sleeper cell is sitting amongst the family. Yeah, I said it. That sleeper cell is sitting amongst the family and got the family completely fooled. But it's creating this dynamic of drama and, turning people against each other for their gain, because they want to be famous, y'all. This particular person wants to be famous. Yeah. Now, I'm going to mention that person's name, not on this video.
Angie Stone's final days were nothing like fans imagined. Behind the music, the money, and the memorials, there was a war raging. A war over her legacy, her fortune, and the truth about what really happened. And tonight, we're exposing it all. Angie's inner circle wasn't just grieving. It was infiltrated. Someone close to the family, someone Angie trusted, was pulling strings behind the scenes, whispering in her ear, feeding her lies, even manipulating her kids. But who? We'll get to that, because this person had a hand in everything, from the missing millions to that fateful van ride. If you think this story is wild, just wait, because Part 3 second part drops tomorrow, and maybe we're revealing the name of the person behind all this. Smash subscribe and hit the bell so you don't miss it. And let me know in the comments, who do you think is pulling the strings?